I'm already inside of the Fortified Church from Hönigsberg. This is the German name of Hărman, the place where is this Fortified Church, where we'll be today for about 45 minutes. Hello to you all. Till I will start, I want to show you a little bit of surroundings. This is the tower, and this is part of the wall. As you can see, the houses of the people are like a swallow nest on a high distance from the soil. It's a little bit of sun today, but today was raining starting with the morning and was pretty cold. The autumn it's already here. I want to give you the opportunity to take some pictures if you want. I will start with the museum. If you saw the other live from Preșmer, from the other Fortified Church, which is nearby, this one, probably you knew what it's all about with these constructions. But if you don't, I will show you today everything you have to know. Okay. Welcome, Joyce, Nicole. You can hear the bell announcing the 5 o'clock. The bells are up there since the beginning of the 20th century because were melted during the Great War to do cannonballs and weapons. And I will start the tour with the museum, as I said, and I will present you one of the rooms which the Germans from here have it inside of the fortress. So during of the siege, the entire population of the village was coming here and entering inside of this fortified church to stay and protect themselves into a room like this. What you can see right now, it's recreation of an interior of a house, of a German house from Transylvania around 1800. All the furniture, even the toys of the children. Of course, some of them are from the beginning of the 20th century, but the majority of the furniture, of the pillows, everything, it's hello Peter, welcome. It's part of their way of life from here, from Transylvania. Briefly, because probably many of you are new the stories. From here, I will tell you till I will go up inside of the wall, because I will start with the wall of the fortification. In Transylvania, as part of Romania, the Germans arrived here together with the Hungarians, starting with the year 1200, 1197, something like this, after the conquest of Transylvania by the Hungarian kingdom. And the Hungarian king colonized in here Hungarians to defend the eastern border, and Germans to develop the economy of the country, because they were very good artisans and merchandisers. So this is the reason that we have today Hungarians and Germans here in Transylvania. And those Germans, because they were living on a border region of the province, and they were all the time attacked by the Cumans, by the Tartars, sometimes by the Turks. They need to build a fortification and in the same time a church, because they need a church too for their Catholic communities. So because it was much easier and much cheaper to build a two-in-one, so a church and a fortification, the result was this fortified church, which is a very rare example of architecture from Europe. This is another former room of the medieval peasants, which was hiding inside of it during of the sieges, as well with furniture and a lot of other tools used by them, even with a trunk like this. It was used by the guilds as associations of the artisans here in Transylvania, to keep the documents of the guilds, which they used for their activity. Also, I told you that this region was attacked many times by their enemies. This is a school because they had a classroom, of course, during of the sieges, or even into the time of peace. The pupils were studying in here, and here, of course, we have some maps, and one of the maps which I want to show you is this one. It's a map of Romania, and all the colored arrows that you can see are the invasions of the migrators into starting with the year 380 till the year 860, so for about 500 years, the Avars, the Longobards, the Vandals, the Goths, the Ostrogoths, the Visigoths, the Pechenegs, the Huns, the Hungarians, all those guys passed by here, and Hărman was right here. It is right here in the middle of the map, near Brașov. You can see in the center of the image, Feldioara is this black fortress, which belonged to the Teutonic Knights order. They had the fortification around here just to defend the frontier of Transylvania from the attacks of the Cumans. And those Teutonic Knights are the ones responsible for the construction of this village and of the previous fortification here. It was only a fortification made by wood, and starting with 1240, after the leaving of the Teutonic Knights from here, they stayed in Transylvania between 1211 and 1225. They left the region, and the people which remain in here continue their work. I will enter inside of the wall of the fortress. Here are another rooms. They had a lot of rooms because the population need a lot of space to defend in case of attack of the enemies. And here I will go inside of the wall of the fortification. You can see the walls, and this is the Hans Tower, so called, because in the times of peace and even in the times of war, what you can see hanged here, it's fat. It's smoked fat from the pig, which was preserved into a cool and dry place, and those thick towers were a very good place for this, where they keep it like in a huge refrigerator of the community, and each family was coming once or 2 times per week to cut or to take a piece of this ham, which was used for cooking or for eating it raw, like you can see it. So I will show you in December, this December, how we are butchering the pig, because the families, many of them, are still raising pigs, and we kill it, we butcher it, and then we prepare it. We made sausages and a lot of other good things to have it for the winter to feed the family. So I will go up inside of the tower. It's very possible that my mobile data to have some troubles because of those thick walls. So it's very possible to lose the signal for short periods of time, for seconds I hope. So don't leave anywhere. Stay with me, because this was happened for sure. Everything was recently repaired. And here I'm inside of the wall. As you can see it, it's a defense corridor, as it is called, inside of the wall, with shooting windows like this one from here, so the people can shoot into the enemy, which was outside. And of course they had throwing places, like you can see here, for example. So they use it to throw with stones, with boiled water, and many other things into the head of the enemy. And also here another place for shooting. As you can see, those places for shooting are very narrow, just to not be killed by the enemy from outside, and have a very good angle to shoot the enemy instead. So those Germans living in here, they developed the commerce, they developed the economy of Transylvania, and they were all of them Catholics, as I told you, till the moment of 1530, when the reform of Martin Luther, which actually transformed the entire or the majority of the Catholic faith from Europe in Protestant religion, Lutheran or Calvinist. And these reforms arrived here in Transylvania, of course, and affected pretty badly the entire community of the Germans and of the Hungarians. They was switch their religion from Catholic to Protestant, excepting the majority of Transylvanian population, the Romanians, which Orthodox, because they were considered to be tolerated in their own country, now conquered by the Hungarians, and they lost all their political, civil, and military rights with many years back in time. Here I'm in one of the towers. Now you can see the shooting windows, and above me those beams was actually supporting the ceiling and the floor of the above floor of this tower. You can see that the wooden structure is still there. Probably are beams of wood since 150 years ago, something like this. They had windows through all the sides to be able to shoot in all the places, and the walls have about 2 meters and a half high, and here is the underneath floor that you can see it, and here it's another window which can show you the rest of the yard. Now probably it's Robert, probably the microphone is too close from my mouth, I imagine. Probably that's why the sound is pretty loud to your phone. And here I'm continuing to move through the wall. It's the same system. It's the same defensive system everywhere. So what you saw already, it's everywhere displayed. So telling you about this reform, they the Germans and the Hungarians, they switched to the Protestant religion. One of the reasons is also one that the Catholic Church here in Transylvania, with the help of the king, made some abuses against the German population. And one of those abuses, it was the fact that the tradition was saying that if somebody dies without descendants, then all the richness of that person or of the patrimonium should go to the community of Germans. And in some occasions, the German king, the Hungarian king, decided that the richness of that guy which died without descendants, to go to the Catholic Church. So these kind of things upset the community of the Germans and of the Hungarians. And when the reform of Martin Luther arrived in here, and they got the chance to switch the situation, they grab it and they switch their religion. Of course, as I told you, not all the Germans, not all the Hungarians switched to the new religion. Remaining to a village, for example, people which continue to be Catholics, but not more than 10%. And for those guys, the community created like a Catholic chapel in one of the towers of this fortified church, which I will show you to you in a couple of minutes, where they continue to practice their religion. So it's an example of religious tolerance, if you want, which is pretty rare in Europe. And the truth is that here in Transylvania we doesn't have religious wars at all during the reform. And for this reason and for other reasons, I used to call Transylvania as a miniature, as a miniature of Europe, if you want, just because here we have the most important three religions of Europe: Greek Orthodox, we Romanians, Roman Catholics and Protestants, the Germans and the Hungarians. Also, we have the most important three language families of Europe: the Latins, we the Romanians, the Germans, and the Finno-Ugrics, the Hungarians. So, and the third reason is that one that we have here three of the most important architectural styles of Europe: Romanic, Gothic, and Baroque. Here I want to show you the other throwing windows of this part of the wall of the church. So that's why I'm saying that Transylvania is a Europe in miniature. Even today in Brașov, in my home city, we have on a street, on a distance of about 800 meters, let's say, three churches belonging to these three communities: Romanian, German, and Hungarian, Greek Orthodox, Roman Catholic, and Protestant, belonging to the Romanic style, Baroque, and Gothic style. So it's something that you can see not very often in Europe. Here I can show you the wall from the outside. It's very thick and very well built. And because I'm speaking about being built, this tower, in here you can see a tower which is placed near the wall. You can see the beams which separating the other two floors around of that window, shooting window. And here it's the basic floor. So speaking about the construction, I told you that the church was built in 1240, and the tower of the church is the only one built a little bit later, around 1300. And the church is built in the Romanic style. It's a nave with a central nave, not with a transept like many other churches. I will enter inside and I will present it you. Of course, by here was passing by the most important commercial roads between Vienna and Istanbul, and because of this, the guilds were very important. And you know that the guild, it was an association of artisans, of merchandisers, and because those guilds was very powerful and very rich, for this reason many towers, many bulwarks of the medieval fortified cities was having the name of those guilds. For example, the butcher's tower, the shoemaker's tower, the goldsmith tower, the blacksmith tower, because those guilds was taking care about the towers, maintenance, defense, and all this kind of care. Here I'm above one of the rooms that I presented you previously, where the people was living during of the sieges, and here it's a very narrow corridor, where I hope I will not lose the signal. Speaking about the guilds, to become member of one of those guilds, you should be a boy, and around of the age of 16, you were allowed inside of the guild. He was working as an apprentice for about 2 years. After those 2 years, you sustain an exam, and if you pass that exam, you had the permission to leave from your area and to work, to practice your skills in your new job for about 2 years in another places. Yes, it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. Those narrow corridors are really beautiful and were very, very useful during those times, because you can stop the enemy pretty easy. So those traveling apprentices was coming back in their place after 2 years. They were presenting a masterpiece, in their job, another exam. They should pay about 50 gold coins or something like this. And after this, you are expecting to be admitted into the guild, with full rights. And it's true, they were admitted into the guild with full rights only after they were getting married with one of the daughters of the members of the guild, just to keep the business into their families. So that's why they should be only men, only boys at the beginning. This is a staircase which I have to descend from the wall, and this kind of tradition of the travel apprentices, it still exists in Europe, and are many Germans, Swiss, Austrians, Czechs, Polish, which are traveling like this all over Europe, working as blacksmiths, as shoemakers, as carpenters, for example. And in Sibiu, a city pretty close to Brașov, where I live, exists a house of the apprentices, where they are still where they are living when they are coming here during the summertime to work in that city. I was promised you that I will show you the chapel, which was built, which was transformed into a Catholic chapel. It's a former tower of the church. That's the main tower of the main entrance of the church, and from here you can see very well the entire construction of the church St. Nicholas, as it used to be called. Together, unfortunately, the German population is not so big as it used to be, because into the 90s, 1991, 1992, something like this, all the German population of Transylvania migrated back to Germany on the places where it was come here 1,000 years ago, their ancestors. Just because after the anti-communist revolution from Romania, which took place in 1989, they were afraid that the communists could come back, so they decided to go back to Germany, into a safer place than this neighborhood of Russia. I will enter into the tower, which was given to the Catholic community of the village to be transformed into a Catholic chapel. And you can see the fragments of paintings which are still on the walls. That because that they were plastered with paint after the reform. It wasn't allowed, to have icons and these kind of images. But they take it out from under the plaster, and now here I can show you the final judgment. We are on the western wall of the wall. You can see Jesus Christ as the judge, sitting on the throne. Under him, it's the cross where he was crucified, with Saint Peter and Paul guarding it. Those two saints in red dresses, and the one from the right side had a sword in his hand. Here on this wall, it's presented the hell. You can see the mouth of hell here to the right side, opened, and the black person, which is obviously a devil, leading the line of sinners to the mouth of hell. And underneath, you can see the people coming out from the graves. Is the resurrection of the dead, preparing to come and to be judged by Jesus Christ. And here, to this side, you can see Saint Peter opening the keys to heaven. Inside of the heaven, you can see the trees, the plants, and behind him are all the believers, all the good people, which are following him to heaven. Here, it's the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and it's a very interesting painting because we have Mary, of course, on the left side of the cross, and Mary Magdalene. And here are the people representing the social classes. So here, for example, you have it's a knight, it's a priest, and it's a peasant at the end. So the ones which are praying, oratores, the ones which are fighting, bellatores, and the ones which are working, laboratores. This was the social classes of the society in those years. Here it's another image of Virgin Mary with baby Jesus, very close to the moment where she was giving birth to Christ. And here another people which are coming to the crucifixion of Christ. And up here it's another image of Saint Peter and Paul guarding the chapel. Those beautiful things of religious art were preserved extremely well during of the time in this chapel. Of course, exist better in this area of Transylvania, especially into the old Greek Orthodox churches, which wasn't forced to renounce to the icons. But here, it's a very important painting because it's something extremely rare into a fortified German church to have this beautiful fresco recovered from under the plaster after so many centuries staying inside, covered. So that's why it's something really, really beautiful in here. I will go with you now. I will lead you inside of the church. Yes, Alison, they are very well preserved, and it's amazing how how they succeed. But if you want to know, for example, into the north of Romania, in Bucovina, we have churches which are painted in fresco, not only inside, but outside too. And imagine those frescoes painted 500, 600 years ago, which are still in a very good condition even today. And you can see huge fragments of fresco, very, very well kept and preserved. So this technique of painted in fresco is something amazing invented by the people. As I told you, it's a very beautiful day in this moment. We have a really warm sun over here, and we'll go. I'll go with you inside of the church to see how it looks, the interior. Are absolutely fascinating for me, those staircases which are going up to the houses where the people used to live during of the sieges. Of course, here this is the main entrance. It have a barbicane. You can see this long tunnel called barbicane in those times. It was designed like this, just to not let the enemy to invade very easy to the inside of the fortress. So the enemy have to stay grouped, which was much easier for the defenders to kill the enemy and to keep it outside of the church. Of course, in here they had a well which is still have water, as you will see very, very soon. So the water is down there. You can see my reflection on it. And now I will go inside of the church. It's a church which also is very different by all the others, because here in the middle of it you can see the benches designed for the ladies, benches which consist only into a beam of wood, nothing for your back to hold, to sustain your back. That because of the fact that the dresses of the married ladies from those times were very big, and it couldn't stay very well into their benches with those big skirts. The music is coming from some speakers which are hidden into the walls. Obviously they had an organ. It's an organ which arrived here around the end of the 18th century, beginning of the 19th century. It's obviously the music which is the music sung with this organ or by this organ, because every year in August, in those fortified churches exists a festival of religious music, which is called Musica Barcensis, and in all of those churches, the organ it's used for concerts. So we have concerts of religious music in those fortified churches here in Transylvania, and the organ it's used for the music. Also, you can see some beautiful rugs hanged on the balcony where it's staying the organ, are also in here. Are rugs made in Turkey, made in Anatolia. One of the, unfortunately, I'm against the light, maybe like this. Are rugs made in Turkey, were very precious in those times, 1800, something like this. And of course, those rugs were was an indicator of the social status of the person being so expensive. The altar, as you can see it in here, it's carved into the Baroque style of architecture, built somewhere at the end of the 18th century by an artisan from Brașov, from my home city, and it's made by wood. Even that the columns that you can see are polished in such a way that give you the sensation that are made by stone or by marble. It's wood. Okay. Here are the benches where was using to stay the most important people of the community. Still services in German going on. As I told you, the Germans unfortunately left Transylvania in mass proportion at the beginning of the 90s. Remain very few people. So in those churches, not in all of them, our religious services maybe twice a month. And of course are used for weddings, funerals, or baptism, into the rarely occasions where people, Lutherans or Lutherans mostly, wants to come in those churches to have their religious service. Unfortunately, the religious life in here it's pretty low, and they are mostly museums than active churches. They used to be active churches during of the 80s, during of the communism, when the Germans from here were very, very active, as you can imagine. This is the pulpit, around 1800 built, also built into the Baroque style. If you have questions, Auntie, please tell me. Ask me everything. That's why I'm here, and it's for you all. It's the same invitation. What I want to show you here is the way as the Germans used to be arranged into the churches. I told you already, in this way they were arranged: the women at the middle, the men on the pews placed around, protecting the women of the community. But it was another way to arrange the community. For example, into the last benches that you can see it placed near the walls, were staying the young children, starting with the age of 12 years old when they were admitted into the religious community, and they were advancing into their benches till the front, and where they will arrive into the first benches, they were ready to get married. After their marriage, the men were moving on these central benches on the back, the ladies on these right benches on the back, advancing during their age. So the oldest members of the community were sitting all the time into the first benches. This was another way to arrange the community inside of here. And speaking about the German community, they were very well organized because, first of all, because they are Germans and they should be like this. So, and because of the fact that they were staying here into the frontier, of Transylvania, with the Cumans, with the Tartars, with the Turks. So they should organize themselves very well to resist in front of those invaders. So that's why the villages were organized in small communities, like a small neighborhood, for example, which was led by a chief, and that chief was saying when that neighborhood of the village is going to plant the crops, to harvest the crops, to go to fight, to organize, to help the people. Yes, Auntie. And not only the Germans are very well organized, but the Romanians too, because living here with the Germans, we Romanians, we lived together with the Germans and the Hungarians for about 800 years. unfortunately, because the Hungarians occupied our territory, that's the history, and we borrow from the Germans this way of being organized. So that's why many Romanians are consider us the one which are living in Transylvania like the Germans of Romania, because we took from the Germans this way of long thinking before to do something, long advising the people before to do something. When we make a promises, you can be sure that promises will be kept. So we are pretty very similar with the Germans from Transylvania. We took from them a lot of stuff. They took a lot of stuff from us, and from this mixture, the result was, I think, a very good one. And also was something else which was mixed here in Transylvania, the food, the cookery, if you want. So when you put together German food, Hungarian food, and Romanian food, the mixture, it's something very, very tasty, because the Germans, the Hungarians, got in deliber, mă gândesc, I think it's about this. And let's see. And here are another inscriptions. What I want to add here is the fact that the main altar table, as you can see, it have a green sheet on it. That because the color of that sheet was different during of the time. For example, a green one during of the summertime, because the nature is also green. A black one during the funerals, white one during of okay, Auntie, thank you, translating for Mark. Also could be yellow during of the month of August, because the cereals which are growing on the field are also yellow. So the color was different depending by the period of time where you was staying there. And here are another rugs, also made in Anatolia. Yes, I can do it. If you want to zooming it, the altar it's also guarded by Peter and Paul, and at the superior part, to the left it's Moses with the 10 Commandments, and to the right it's I imagine his brother Aaron. Okay. So as you can see, an altar with nothing inferior to the ones from the Western Europe. And I was telling you, and with this arch above, maybe here, Mark. Let me see. Yes, here. I'll show it to you in a minute. This is the one that you want to see. You can take a picture. And if you can read, you can tell us what it means. Okay. So yes, the ceiling it's really beautiful and are very similar with the Gothic ceilings, which are downloading the heaviness of the construction on the lateral sides, and then the walls are sustained by the buttresses on the exterior to not fall apart everything. So this is pretty much the church from Hărman, the fortified church from here, with nothing inferior with the other fortified churches from here from Transylvania. I'll try in this October to have another live transmissions from the Teutonic Knights fortification fortress from Feldioara or Marienburg here around of Brașov, to tell you a couple of stories about knights and crusades. Also, I will have another transmission from Dracula's castle, which I have the luck to be nearby, of about 30 kilometers away from my hometown, to do another live from Dracula's castle. And I will have in October 13th something very, very interesting for many of you. It's thank you, Mark. It's a transmission from Viskri, which is or Weiskirch, which is the name Weiskirch, which is the name in German. It's a city where Charles, a British citizen, owned a couple of houses, but now unfortunately he's not there because he was going to work in England as a king. I talk about King Charles III of Great Britain, and I will go to Viskri to show you one of the houses that he's have in Viskri. I want to show you a village which is I don't know, frozen with about 150 years ago, with all the old German houses, with the dirt road, the main road, with the carriages, with a small place. Thank you, Lisan, where the people are still baking bread. I want to go to show you Gottin der Liebe. I think it's Gottin der Liebe. I'll show you. Another place where the women are still producing socks, wool socks. So I think will be a very interesting tour in about 2 weeks, and I'm preparing for the winter. I'm preparing for the winter time to show you all the traditions, all the carols, everything which is happened here in Romania. The church is built in 1240, Terry. Yeah, it's got it's the old German alphabet. So the church is 1240. It's very old and still resists very well in time. And here, before to exit, a couple of as you can see, and this is it for today, the tour. I hope you will follow me, and you will be with me on the next tours, which will be also very interesting here in Transylvania, in Romania, and because I still have a lot of things to show you, and I'm pretty sure that you will enjoy it. Till that moment, I wish you again, as I used to say, good evening, good night, and good morning. So yes, it's important to have a guide when you travel somewhere. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like everything you saw here, and of course I invite you to come here to Hărman to visit the fortress by yourself live, not by a live transmission, because it's much better to be here and to discover all the other things which we have it around. Thank you very much again, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.